Hi, it's Dawn from Dawn's Dirt. Dirt can mean gardening. Dirt can mean animals. Dirt can mean soap, shampoo in this case. Dirt can mean politics. Dirt can mean religion. Dirt can mean a conversation roundtable or anything I want it to mean. So super excited about today's podcast guest. We've got Brooke from Vanderkley Valley Farms. And the very first thing I said to you is, "Oh, you're Dutch." And you said your husband's Dutch. So I said, if you ain't Dutch, you ain't much. So, but then that might offend you. So you're Dutch. Your husband's probably a pretty good guy.
He is. He's a great guy. I married him for many reasons, and he's lovely. We're a great team in everything that we do.
I love it. I love it. So I got in contact with you because through one of my administrative assistants, and she said, "Oh, you should get Brooke on because, she's amazing and she's a farmer and her husband works away and they've got a business and they got another business and they got another business and so never mind your husband now. I think you sound like an amazing superwoman. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are and what you do?"
Yeah, so I am a mom of four. I've got four kiddos under the age of 6, and I run our farm. So on our farm, we have a couple different operations going on. We have like a beef operation, a cow-calf operation where we're just getting into selling livestock. We do pasture chickens every single summer. We have laying hens every single year that we're running, and we're selling eggs. We have an Airbnb. We have a campground that we run throughout the summer months. We're in central Alberta, so we're a little bit limited there in terms of our seasons. And then I do social media. I'm really active on my social media. Some people might call me an influencer. I just want to show up as people's friends and somebody that they just feel like they like and know. And then I sell shampoo in direct sales of all things. It's just like the most random mixing pot of all the things, but I feel like it just works and we just do it.
Wow. 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 That's all I got to say is wow. So let me get it straight. So you've got a cow-calf operation. You do laying hens, you do meat birds, you do Airbnb, a campground, and shampoo. And
Yeah.
your husband works away.
Yeah.
And you have 4 kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
How? Can you explain to us how do you do this? Because wow. Wow and how.
Totally. I feel like that's the number one question that I get through my social media. And when I talk to people is they're just like, how are you able to manage all these things? And one of my business mentors actually has said to me before, and I've really taken this, is you can have it all, but you can't have it all at the same time. And so people often look at my social media, and they're like, oh, it looks like you have everything together and you're homeschooling your kids and you're cleaning your Airbnb and you're doing your farm and you're raising your chickens and all these things. But what they don't see is that, well, number one, you have to work hard. If you want a full life, if you want to take on a lot, and I feel like I have the capacity to do that. I've been blessed with the capacity to do that, but I got to work hard, right? There's no idle days, and I don't take rest as something that I deserve. I take it as something that I need when I need it, but it's not something that's like a luxury to me, and that's fine by me. And so I wake up and I'm excited to go. I'm excited to work. I'm excited to build these businesses and work on these things that we're doing in our life, but I can't have it all at the same time. And so when I'm raising my meat chickens and I'm cleaning my Airbnb, don't expect my house to be clean. That there's winter time for that, when my house could be clean, when I don't got 600 meat birds in the field, when my campground isn't running. So you can have it all, but you cannot have it all at the same time. And I really think that people try to just do it all, right? They try to do it all and then they get so frustrated because they're not excelling. It's like there's no such thing as balance when you're building something. We can get into more of that concept later, but I truly believe in it. It's like, if you want to build something, you have to put your time and your energy and your effort concentrated into that thing, and pick your seasons for what you're going to strive for, and pick your seasons for what you're going to build.
I couldn't agree more. So I don't know if you know my history at all, but I had a 36,000 square foot greenhouse. I did 20 acres of garden. I direct marketed everything at farmers markets. I had 3 daughters. They did go to school, but it was, and I had 2 grocery stores, like 2 farm to table markets at the same time. And I ran a farmers market and I did food truck fancies. So I understand what you're saying. And you're right. Like you cannot do it all, but you can do a few things well. And the other thing I was thinking when you were talking, so for our listeners that are listening, like you can't have it all. Like you can do it and do it well, and you can have it all. You just got to pick and choose, and not everything you like you said, your house might not be clean, but it takes time to get there. And I think that's what people miss. When people move on to a homestead or a small farm, they get the goats and the sheep and the cows and the chickens and the ducks and the geese and the rabbits and the la 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 la, and they've never done any of it before, and next thing you know, nothing is working well. So did you just last spring decide you were going to do all of it, or how did that work? Was it a slow process and a gradual thing, or did you just bite it all off in one foul swoop?
Yeah, so we started our farm back in 2021 is when we moved here. And previous to that, we were on 1 acre, also in central Alberta. And we had some laying hens. We had 2 kids in that house, and we ran a tractor of 30 meat chickens in our front yard. And like, we were not permitted to have meat birds on this property, but we just did it anyways. We butchered them in the back bush. Like, it was not fancy. It was not glamorous, but we found a passion for it. And we were gardening there. We don't garden as much now. It's just not a priority for me, but we were gardening a lot there. And, we just really found a desire to be super connected to our food and to understand what that process looks like and to be in control of it ultimately. And so we had kind of outgrown that property, and we knew that we wanted to do what we were doing, but on a little bit of a larger scale. And so we found our property in 2021 in the spring, and we moved here with an initial plan actually to do market garden boxes. We were going to grow vegetables and do like CSA style boxes. That's what our business plan was. And so we moved here, we started getting the garden plot all set up and everything, and then we got wiped out by hail 3 times in like a matter of weeks. We're like, well, this isn't going to work, and we don't want to set up greenhouses. That's just not something that we want to do. So let's pivot. We were doing our meat chickens. We moved here, and we were a little bit psycho because we went from 30 meat chickens on 1 acre to 600 meat chickens. And our chicken butcher was like, wait, did you guys move? Like, what's going on here? Was that supposed to be like 50, or did you mean 500? We're like, no, we mean 500. And so we went for the chicken thing. We thought we were going to do the garden, but we pivoted. You hit a roadblock, you hit something that's saying maybe you should reconsider, and you pivot. So we knew we wanted to do chickens, and we've done chickens like every year since. We've been one of like the most well-known soy and corn-free pasture chicken producers in central Alberta. We do on-farm slaughter, direct to consumer. And I like to toot my own horn and say that we're like one of the top producers of that type of product. And I just love it. And we're passionate about that. But when we weren't doing the market gardens anymore, and that was just not a part of our business plan at all, we were like, well, what else? And so we got into Highland cattle. Highland cattle are super trendy. There's pictures of them in winters. Everybody thinks they're cute and fluffy. And we chose them kind of for those reasons, but we also seen them. We're like, they produce really nice beef. We want to do a little bit of agritourism here. We knew we were going to be doing an Airbnb because there's a second residence on our property when we bought it. And so we were like, well, it all seems to play together. And to be quite honest with you, we kind of just ran with delusion a little bit and just trusted the process. We were doing laying hens. We were already familiar with that from doing it on our 1 acre, but we were like, let's do chickens, beef, Airbnb, and see where that takes us. And it's been great. I will say though, like you were saying, a lot of people have that desire to get the goats and the pigs and the this and the that and one of everything and build an ark, right? I don't feel like I have that desire right now. I would like some, maybe some little piggies, maybe a duck or two in my garden, but I'm not in a rush because I feel like it's so much smarter to invest your time in a few things than spread yourself thin over many, many things.
I couldn't agree more. So I'm doing homestead coaching now, or farm to table coaching now, or consulting or whatever you want to call it. But I'm doing that now with clients, and I have clients, and I tell them, like, let's start with a couple of things that are going to do well for you, and let's expand from there. And yeah, and pivoting. You talk about pivoting. When I had my farm, I was continuously problem solving, pivoting, trying something, doing something, changing something, just going with the flow. And that's the biggest thing in business is you always are problem solving. You're a tic-tactician, figure it out, problem solver. And when something doesn't work, you're right. You have to pivot quickly. And when something does work, you're right. You have to ramp up quickly. So it does not surprise me at all to go from 30 to 500. That doesn't surprise me at all because that's what farmers and that's what, businessmen do, or businesswomen, or, strong women do, right? So you just do what you got to do, and you make the calculations in your head, and you pivot, you problem solve, and you get there. Yeah, hail is a part of market. I understand this. I was in a little belt where for whatever reason, we didn't get the hail quite like everyone else, but we also didn't get the rain like everyone else. So I had to irrigate quite a bit. But you're right, to have a hailstorm wipe out your entire crop, and you go, oh no, now what? Like, that's hard. And you can't get the crop insurance like the big guys. Like, yeah, you got to pivot and you got to do something different.
Mhm.
Hmm. Okay, and you've got a little shampoo business as well. So you're doing all of it. I'm curious about, where do you sell and how do you find your people? How do you find your clients for your chickens and your meat and your shampoo and your Airbnb and all and your campground, all of it? How do you market yourself?
So we're obviously building our farm brand is a big thing, and in attracting people to what we offer here on our farm, and Airbnb and our campground. So our campground is offered through a platform called HipCamp, which is basically camp like Airbnb for camping. And now I will say, because we are completely changing our business model for next year. So it currently runs as like one large group campsite. It's down by the river. It has a cook shack right beside the cows, a private beach. It's a really beautiful spot that we just, we're like, we have this space, let's share it. How can we utilize this, right? We're not using it every day. So how can we share it with people? But we next year, and we're going to start developing it this fall. So if you follow me on Instagram, I'll probably be sharing this entire process, but we're going to be transitioning this space to have a lot of glamping structures. So we kind of want to brand ourselves as like a treehouse resort. So we're going to be building a bunch of glamping tree houses in the trees, in the bush, in the forest, really beautiful, family friendly. We're super, super excited for this. And a lot of my camper guests and my Airbnb guests have simply come from within the platforms. When we set up our spaces, we truly decided to prioritize guest experience. How can we make it beautiful? How can we make it high value? How can we give people who have a bunch of kids, who want to travel, maybe don't have a huge budget, but want something really beautiful? How can we make it work for all of that? And so we set up, we invested in it. We're like, let's decorate it nice. Let's make sure that it's kid friendly. Like, let's put extra into it and not just set something up to make money. We're like, let's set something up, one, to make money, obviously, because we're not for profit, but two, let's give people a really good experience, right? And so a lot of that just plays into how the VRBO, Airbnb, and HipCamp algorithms just push us out. Now I need to get a little bit better with my advertising for those things, but it'll come through social media. In terms of my chicken and my beef customers, talking to people, our first year when we moved here, and I had 500 chickens to sell, and I didn't have people who knew that I had chickens. I was walking around the grocery store looking at people who had chicken in their cart and giving them my business card, because I knew I had 500 chickens that were coming into freezers that I had to get out. And so I'm like, hey, I see you have some chicken in your cart. Here's my card. I'm a local chicken producer if you're interested. I was literally just like pounding the pavement. I was putting flyers in PV Marts and UFAs, the rip a tag sort of thing. That's what I was doing. And we built our client base up now with our chicken and our beef. People want farm direct food, especially farm direct meat right now. There's a huge wave of it. So it's like, if you are somebody who is wanting to do this, is wanting to sell farm products, people want it. You got to brand yourself strong. You got to pick a lane. You got to advertise yourself and really advertise the quality of what you're offering, and those customers will come and they'll stay and they'll be loyal to you. And now, in terms of my shampoo business and how I run that, I primarily run it through social media. Obviously, I'm busy. Obviously, I have a full plate. Obviously, you are probably not going to catch me like walking through Winners on a random Wednesday. You're not going to find me at the park with my kids because I'm at home running our farm and all these businesses. And so I utilize social media. It is such an incredible tool, not only for advertising our farm stuff, but I'm in direct sales. That's what it is. And I think it's a smart model for busy people like myself. And so I utilize social media and I help people. I do not get on my Instagram. I primarily use Instagram. I do not get on my Instagram and think to myself, how can I sell? How can I make money? I come on and I'm like, how can I help people? How can I help somebody with their hair? You know, whether it's a mom who just had a baby and her hair's thinning, or she's super oily like I used to be, or if she is somebody like me who's running a farm, who's not really making a lot of money, but wants an opportunity to do that, I help. Okay. I have a business to offer. I have products that can help them with their hair. And I just see what I have to offer as something really valuable that can help people. And it's not just about me making money. That's just a byproduct of me helping people.
Are you sitting on a farm or homestead that could be making you real money? Tired of guessing on how to market your products? I owned a 36,000 square foot greenhouse. I ran 2 farm to table stores. I had 30 people on payroll. I brought in $2.5 million in gross revenue in 2020, selling farm goods directly to customers. Now I teach farmers and homesteaders how to make money and save money off the land they already have. Whether you're selling eggs, beef, produce, baked goods, or anything in between, if you want to get into direct marketing and grow your sales, I'm the girl for you. Stop leaving money on the table and start putting it into your bank account. Join me at Dawn's Dirt Business Coaching and let's make your farm pay you back. Oh man, like that's just it. It's about the relationship. It's about building a relationship. And whether that's through social media, which you can build a relationship through social media when you are authentic and honest and real and showing your, not everything goes perfect, not everything goes right. It's not, I'm sure your Instagram's not Pinterest perfect all the time, but just showing that this is reality and this is life, and let's just do life together and building community. And that's where it's at. That's where sales is. It's about the relationship. The other thing I was going to mention too, when you said that you were walking through the grocery store, handing out business cards and, saying to people you're poaching the grocery store's you were poaching the grocery store's customers. Like, that is brilliant. And I love it, because in business, you have to be tenacious. You have to, you have to go after what you want and just be like a dog on a bone. And I know that from experience. I introduced myself as Dawn, and then I used my former business name. And now I'm Dawn's Dirt. I wore this hat, not this hat, but I tell everyone who I am and what I'm doing. If you want to make money off your farm, come see me. Let's coach you through it. Let's get you going, and let's get you like Brooke, because she's like doing it very well, and I'm so proud of you. Like, I'm so proud of you. Okay. So here's a question. People come to me and they're always like, time. So you said you get up in the morning and you work, but how do you find, you said you can't do everything, and maybe your house is a little bit messy, and that's okay. I hired a housekeeper eventually when I had my farm. But how do you do it? How do you balance? And you mentioned the word balance, but how do you do it with kids and with all of the things, the irons you've got in the fire? How do you make decisions every morning on what to prioritize and how do you navigate that?
Yeah. So I wake up at 5 a.m. I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning. I need that time to myself. I was in a season. We had our 4th baby back in November. And so obviously there's seasons that you might be going through where it's like you need to prioritize that rest and you're not waking up at 5 a.m. But as soon as I found I had that capacity, even though I'm waking up tired, right? Maybe I had a late night, I make it. It's a decision that I make. I wake up at 5 a.m. Maybe I go for a walk and I just think about what I'm going to be doing that day. Maybe I'm just sitting and having a tea or my electrolytes or just writing out my day. Sometimes I even do that the night before. And I set myself up for success by taking care of myself very first thing in the day. But I also constantly remind myself, like, my job here is to serve my family, to serve my husband, to serve my customers, to serve my business partners. And I find such joy in doing that. And I think it's really easy, and this might ruffle a couple feathers, but it's really easy to get in a really selfish headspace, and to say, oh, I need this whole day to myself because I've just been working like a dog. Well, guess that's not going to build anything. Okay. There are seasons of building and there's seasons of rest, truly. And so I think that just deciding what your day is going to look like and setting yourself up for success by first just getting in the headspace. Okay. I'm waking up. I'm getting a head start on my day. I'm not waking up with my kids because that might make me flustered. Maybe it doesn't for you, but it sure does for me. I don't like waking up with a bunch of people asking me all these things. I need to prepare. And then just knowing that your role is so important and what you have to do that day is so important.
You keep using the word team. You keep using the word, serve. You use the word serve, and these things are hitting me so deeply. When I had my farm, I always said I had my team, and my team was my team that worked with me on my farm, not for me, with me. They worked with me. They were my employees, but they were working with me. We had a farm that we were running. And then the other people on my team were my clients and my customers. Like, they're on my team because without my customers, without my team, and without the people, around me, I had nothing. I could not build any of it or do any of it without the people who are on my team. And so you keep saying serving, and that's what real leadership is. A real leader is there to serve those around them. And when it flips the other way, when ego gets in the way, when, something gets in the way, it's not a pretty picture. And you see businesses fail or, falter as a result of it. So leadership is serving. Leadership is, so you saying that did not in the least ruffle my feathers, because I'm going to sit here and say, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, I wasn't always the morning person, but I would work till late at night. I was the opposite of that, and I needed my rest. I needed my few minutes in my bed before I went to sleep, just to like decompress. So yeah. I guess so with your children, like that's the thing. Time. So you structure your time, but what about your kids? Because I know when I was in work mode, I was not in mom mode. So I had babysitters to help me. How do you do this? How do you navigate this?
So my motto is always, if it has a heartbeat, that's your first priority. And so your kids, your chickens, your cows, your husband, if he's home, obviously mine works away. That is the priority. And I always find that when I am pouring into my kids more than they are coming to me, it's a better relationship. When I seek them out rather than try to run away from them and get something done, when I'm like, hey guys, let's go do the chickens. I need your help. Like, well, let's rock this out. We're a team, right? When I'm pouring into them, they come and they want to do it. And it's exciting. You see so many moms and I'm not trying to judge, but I'm just offering you a different solution. Instead of setting your kids up to do their thing so that you can do yours, bring them with you. They're eager and they want to help. Obviously, it's tricky when you have kids, like I would say 2 and under is hard. I strap that baby in a carrier and off we go. Okay. Sometimes it's not perfect. When I'm cleaning my Airbnb, my kids come, they watch TV. I'm not a no screen mom. I think TV can be a great tool. Okay. That's like an hour and a half where they get to binge watch like kids trash TV. At home, they're watching like Berenstain Bears. There they get Paw Patrol and all the great things. And my baby, I bring her with me. She's in her carrier. My 2-year-old's usually toddling around the house and we just do it together. Now, you mentioned babysitter, and I think that this is an important thing to highlight, is that there was a time, when we first bought our farm, and I can go more into this, but when we first bought our farm, we were comfortable. I'm just going to put it that way. We were comfortable. And then there was a shift in our finances, a major, major shift that almost had us contemplating selling the farm. And that's where my husband really went back to work full time. He's a lineman. And so he works, he's gone. He's not home on weekends. He's not home in the evenings. Like, he's gone for majority of the month. And so we had a huge shift, and we were not in a position to hire help. We were not in a position to hire babysitters. We just were not. And so I just hustling grinded through that season. And, it really showed me what I'm capable of. It's really showed me that I can do hard things with my kids and still have joy, still have a joyful heart. Okay. I wasn't sour. I wasn't resentful to my husband. I really seen it as that we were a team building something huge. Now that we've been here 5 years, this is our 5th year that we have been on the farm. We have really kind of worked ourselves out of that situation. And we're so proud about it. Being debt free is a huge goal of ours. And now we're in a position where I can hire a house cleaner when my house is insane. I do have a summer student. She lives just up the road. She comes and cuts my grass for me, and she weeds my thistles in my garden. And when I need her to watch the kids, she's there. But I am going to be very honest. I'm not trying to say that moms don't love their kids. I love being with my kids. I love doing things with my kids. I love teaching them. I love showing them. I love them helping me. It slows me down, but isn't that literally the entire point? You know, to show them that we can build things together as a family. And I always want my kids, and this is something that I really took away. We were just at my shampoo big convention, and I had my 8-month-old with me, and I went on stage. I accepted 4 awards, and she was with me. I packed her up there, you know, and there's video footage. And I had recently shared a reel that said, I want my kids to know that they can do anything they want because they've seen their mom do it with them. They're like, look, my mom was a hustler. My mom worked so hard. So did my dad, not just my mom. So did my dad together. And I know that I can do it because she did it with kids. And I really just run with that, you know, and we're so capable. We are so capable.
Yeah. You know what? I find myself as I'm hearing you talk well up with tears, because I'm a little further ahead in my journey. My girls are 14, 16, and 18. They're great kids. They took on a lot of responsibility when they were really young. They're all working, doing farmers markets, and they were headhunted this year. People want them to work for them because they've learned how to work. Parts of my story are a little bit different than yours. I love that you are a team with your husband, you know, working together, talking, communicating, being there for one another, and just doing it really as a team. And that is so important, you know, for anyone listening. If you're going to get into a homestead or a farm, make sure you're on the same page, make sure you're working together, make sure that you're on the same team, and make sure you have common goals. And it sounds like you do. And that's, I think, part of the reason why you're thriving is that you're working together. You're showing the family, you're showing your children the family unit. And then, yes, working with your kids. I had my daughter at a farmer's market 3 weeks after a C-section. I was back to work, and I brought my babies with me to market. And then eventually, yes, I did get babysitters because my strength wasn't as much, you know, like, come kids, help. I got into work mode and it wasn't the best. So then I ended up, you know, my quality time with them was quality then. And I did it a little different, but man, wow, if I could have done it the way you did, and if I could have learned, if I could have learned from you back in the day, I would have done things different. You're blowing me away with your words. Amazing, amazing. So if someone was starting, what would be the first thing that you would suggest doing? Like, where would you start from ground zero? If you went from the city and took on a property, where would you start?
I truly think it depends on the property, and your property is going to limit you or give you huge advantage in what you're going to do. You know, some properties are geared for pasture land, some properties are built for crops, some properties are geared for nothing, but you'll have to work really hard to get them to do something. And so choose your property wisely. You know what you want to do on that property before you even buy it. Do you want to run chickens? Do you want to run cattle? If you want to run cattle, you're looking at 10 plus acres to do anything. Anything. If you want to run chickens, you can do chickens, like meat chickens, in a very concentrated zone. Where I suggest people start, if they say you've bought a piece of property and you're like, oh, heck, I didn't really think about what I wanted to do on here, and maybe I'm a little bit limited, but what can I do? Laying hens, I think, is one of the simplest and most affordable things to start up. Everybody loves eggs. Everybody loves eggs. They're an easy thing to sell. But I will say, I think what you really need to do is just really get smart and really get innovative. Really get innovative and really get smart. Okay. There's a lot of different farms. There's a lot of small homesteads who are all offering eggs for $4 a dozen. What can you do that sets you apart? Are they pasture raised? Are they soy and corn free? We only ever do soy and corn free on our farm. The reason being, actually, I had found out when our first chicken laid her first egg at our old property, I found out that I was intolerant to soy and eggs. I had terrible acne. I went to the naturopath. She ran a food tolerance test and soy and eggs. And I thought, great, we have laying hens and I'm intolerant to eggs. Then as we were doing a little bit of research and I started thinking about what my chickens were eating, and I thought my chickens are eating soy, majority of chicken food. And this is going on a little bit of a tangent, but this is really what drove us to really think about what we were feeding our animals and grow our operation was our chickens were eating a ton of soy. And I thought maybe, just maybe, It's not, in fact, the eggs I'm intolerant to. It's the soy that my chickens are eating. And so what did we do? We started feeding soy and corn-free food for our chickens. I eat eggs every single day. Every single day since we learned this, I have clear skin. I have no issues at all. And so we really market ourselves as a soy and corn-free chicken and egg provider. And so what's that thing? What's that thing that's going to set you apart, right? What's that thing that's going to let you charge $9 a dozen as opposed to $4 a dozen, right? Just because you're a farm doesn't mean you have to be cheap, nor should you be. When you walk through the grocery store and you see the price of eggs, you see the price of beef, you see the price of chicken. If you are on a farm and you are working out there with your 4 kids and your husband's on the road and it's 42 degrees and the cows are out and the house is dirty, you better be valuing your time for so much more because you love the animals and you love the product that you're producing for people and you're having that relationship with your customer. So you better value it and put a good value on it, but you have to set yourself apart. You have to be creative. And that was a big thing too that led us to agritourism. And we've really developed our farm around agritourism a lot because farming's dang expensive. I'm just going to put that out there. And anybody who's tried farming or who has looked into a farm absolutely knows that. And it is hard to make a living farming. If we were just farming and we were doing our chickens and our eggs and our beef, my husband would be working on the road for the rest of his life, but we don't want him to do that. So we're doing our Airbnb, we're doing our glamping, we're incorporating agritourism. So if you want to copy my business model, have at her, but maybe see how can your property host people, whether you're teaching them. Maybe you have some ebooks. Like there are so many things that you could do from your homestead, but not on your homestead to make an income and to grow something big.
You know what? I'm not even sure why I'm sitting here today because you're just taking everything that I've known, everything that I've learned, everything that I've done in my business. I don't know if you know this, but I got 150 laying hens and I got meat birds outside my back door, and I'm on just shy of an acre of property now. So like preach it, sister, preach it, because you are saying what's in my head. You're saying what I've done. You're saying how to do it. And you're right, $4 a dozen is not enough. I'm selling mine currently for 10 to Canmore. I drive to Canmore where my clients will pay me 10. And I went to the store called Walmart and I was looking at free, I forget, they were free range brown eggs or something, and I was like, they're $8 a dozen in the store for a somewhat similar product, and yours is, soy free and all those things. So you're right, you need to charge. And there's nothing, the eggs that you get in the grocery store are not the same eggs as you would get from a farmer or from someone who's raising them, and they get some grass and they get some bugs and they get all the natural things too. Those yolks are so orange. Yeah. Absolutely. The other thought I had when you were speaking as well is, you've got the shampoo business. And so if someone's even in town, let's say someone's even in town, how can they be a quote unquote homesteader? Because that's all the rage and the trend right now. And I truly feel that we need more producers. We need less big store and less corporation. And we need more of us taking things into our own hands, growing and raising and doing what we can, So if you were in town and you had your shampoo business and maybe four hens in your backyard or a garden in your backyard, you still would be creating business and doing something for your family that is sustainable for yourselves and not reliant on a grocery system. So if someone wanted to move to town or was in town and just, the acre or the acreage or whatever wasn't possible, can they still do something?
Get smart. Get smart. There is so much opportunity out there. You can rent people's land. Guess what? You just have to ask. It's all about connection. It's all about community. It's all about relationship. Drive out to the country. Drive 5 minutes out of your city. Do you see somebody with a plot of land there? Maybe they have a garden. Pull in and ask them, hey, I would love to rent this garden space off of you. Okay. You're not paying for a mortgage. You're renting a garden plot. Grow a heck ton of potatoes and sell potatoes. Grow a heck load of garlic and sell garlic. Maybe you find a bigger farmer and you want to run chickens. Like, get innovative, but you have to ask. Like, nobody is going to save you. Nobody is going to knock on your door and say, hey, Dawn, you want to come raise 500 chickens on my property and you can have all the profits and do everything you just got. They're not going to do that. So if that's something that you have on your heart, if that's something you want to do, reach out to people, find those connections. Because, if somebody rolled up to me and they're like, hey, can I rent a quarter of your garden to do XYZ? I'd be like, yeah, have at her. Just get out of here with that glyphosate because we don't do that here, you know? But you have to get out there and you have to talk to people. It's just like how I run my shampoo business, right? I get out there and I talk to people and I get to know people and I form those connections and I network. It's all about networking. So you could totally do it. And you know what? Even if you live in town, start small. Grow some garlic, grow some potato, grow some tomato, right? See what you can do in your own yard. Do you like it? How's it feel? Does it feel easy, right? Grow some flowers. Like there are so many things you could do. You just have to really gear your brain in an entrepreneurial way and start looking at opportunity rather than looking at the limitations that are ahead of you and the challenges that might come up. You just have to be like, this is what I'm doing, and we're just going to find a way. If a barrier comes up, we're just going to find a way around it, over it, under it. Maybe we blast right through it. We're just going to figure it out.
You know, and it's true. So I've been an entrepreneur. I took my first job last summer for the first time in 20 years, and I got fired. And then I took another job and I got fired again. I am not meant to have a job. And the reason for that is because my brain is wired just like yours. I see opportunity everywhere I go. And when I went into this job, I thought, okay, well, I can help this business, strive and thrive and change and, get whatever. And they thought, no, Dawn, you don't fit in the box. So out you go. And it's true. So when you're an entrepreneur, your brain is wired differently. It's wired to seeing the opportunities, doing the problem solving, getting up at 5 a.m., working till just doing. You're doing, and you're busy making things making things happen for yourself. But when you have a job, you're being told, okay, now you do this, and now you do this, and now you do this. And so those are two very different things. And so if you're going to want to get in, if someone wants to get into being an entrepreneur on their property in town, even like you said, just be creative. You have the answer no if you don't ask, right? You already got a no because you didn't ask. But if you ask, you still might get a no, but you also might get a yes, and then you're on your way. So so true. That's what an entrepreneur is. Think outside of the box, be creative, problem solve, and just do it. I'm just going to throw in here, hire Dawn. I can help you because I coach people to do these things too. So yeah, entrepreneur my entire life. Do you have a funny story? Tell me a funny story off your farm, like a not so flattering story, or a funny story, or a crazy story. Do you got a good story for us?
So good, you guys. So this is about our second year on the farm, I think it was. We had, can't recall if we had 2 or 3 kids. It's all a blur sometimes, but we had some kids, and I get a phone call. It's from a neighbor. I've never heard from him. We had just moved here. We were like the new people. We moved into an area where there's a lot of generational farms who've kind of taken over all the land. So we were the new kids on the block. And I get this call from this farmer, and he's blabbing on, oh, so you're so and so and this and that. And yeah. About 5 minutes into this conversation, he goes, you guys have them hairy cows, yeah? And I said, yeah, that's us. He goes, well, they're out on the range road, all of them under the bridge. And luckily, thank the Lord, my husband was home. Thank the Lord. And so we go and we drive down the road, and there's our cows. They were under a bridge into a lease. Like, to get them out, we had to run them all the way down, like another mile, to get them onto this lease road to run them home. It's like plus 38. They're hot. They don't want to move. We are like running on foot because we couldn't get our side by side and our quad into this pasture. And so I'm holding one of my kids, running down this road, chasing these cows. There's people driving, cows are on the roads. It was a literal disaster. I'm calling the one neighbor. I'm like, hey, we just got to run our cows right by your front door to get them back home. I hope that's okay. And anyways, we ended up getting them all out. It was so chaotic, and we ran them by, and we get home, we're like, wow, that was wild. And guess what? It wasn't the first time, and it wasn't the last time the cows got out. And it's just, you just figure it out. Like, these things happen, these events happen, and you just figure out, you just work through it. And then when it's over, you're like, oh, that's funny. Now we can laugh.
Hey friends, on Dawn's Dirt, we get real about growing food, farming, homesteading, living free, and digging into the stuff that actually matters. If you're loving the dirt we're dishing out, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow on your favorite social media platforms. That's how we keep growing this community of badass, soil covered, chicken loving, freedom chasing humans. Like and subscribe to me on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. Come be part of the movement. It probably wasn't funny at the time, but yes, you're right. And that's the way it is. And it's going to happen. If you've got, I say it all the time. If you got livestock, you're going to have dead stock. If you got livestock, they're going to get out. I have chickens out all the time. I'm like, so people ask me at the farmers market, they're like, they say, so what do you feed these chickens? And I say, well, I feed them regular feed. I said, give them feed. They're farm fresh. They get bugs, they get scraps, they get grass. And I said, actually, I get angry at my chickens quite often because they get out of the pen and they get into my garden. So my chickens are garden fed. And then people start laughing. Oh, they're garden fed. I like that. And I'm like, I don't, but like it's part of it. I don't really have very many zucchini this year or squash because the chickens just keep eating them all. So yeah, you do what you got to do, and it's just part of it.
Totally. Absolutely. You just have to work through those things
Um,
and you never know what's going to happen, right?
but let's talk about the glamping. Let's talk about the teaching side of it. So my dream is I would love to, and I've thought this for many years. I would love to have a farm with exactly like you're doing with, people and things like that. And I've thought, man, if they could come stay at my farm and I could have a milk cow, or I'm currently milking a goat. I love it. If I could have my chickens and my eggs and my garden and whatever, if I could have people come and make it a real community thing, eat breakfast together, eat lunch together, eat dinner together, come do the chores together. You're here not to just go camp and, whatever. You're here to work as well. You're here to do chores. That's my dream, is to come for me to invite families out to my farm to really experience the farm culture and the farm experience. And so yeah, is that kind of what you're doing with yours, or is it more of just come out to the country and you're able to stay?
Yeah, so most of our guests are coming from the cities and they are honestly just looking for a place to get out of the cities. They're looking for grass to run in and a sky to look at with stars in it. And we offer farm tours. So they come and, if they want to see the cows and they want to learn about the chickens, then I give them a farm tour and it's very one-on-one. And their kids love to see it. It's nice because it's just like added value. They can stay at a farm and it's a thing to do, but most people come and they just stay. And now education is something that I love. I love teaching people about what we do. We don't get a ton of people who want to create their own farm coming to visit us and to learn from us, like not that mentorship relationship. It's more kind of like educational for them to just see and experience. And we love that. And we like being a place in our area. There's not a lot of places in our area that do this. And so we're kind of setting ourselves apart from all other Airbnbs and all other campgrounds by being remote, but also having this attraction on it. And the biggest thing I feel like right now, maybe we would love to do in the future more courses, more one-on-one teaching, more mentorship. But in this season, we've got 4 young kids. My husband, he has been home actually this summer. He's usually not, but my dad had passed away in June. And so we're getting ready for his auction sale and we have so much going on. And so my husband took the summer off because my dad, he was a heavy duty mechanic. He's got so much stuff. And so he's home. And it really gave us, my dad passing and having my husband home gave us a lot of perspective for what we want our life to look like. And yes, it involves building businesses. And yes, it involves hosting people, but it really involves a lot of family time. That's something that we have prioritized now so much. We've been given so much perspective just on life from this entire experience. And so we want to preserve that too. And so while we are always happy to host our guests and always happy to do farm tours, it is sometimes challenging when you're in the service and customer service industry to find that happy ground where you are still nurturing your family and you're not spending all of your time with other people. And it might sound like we're trying to like huddle ourselves, but we're not. It's like we want to serve these people. But at the end of the day, if we are if we are serving these people and it's coming at the sacrifice of what's happening in the walls of our home, it's not worth it. And so prioritizing both of those in this season of life right now where we're raising young children, but we're still young in our marriage and wanting to strengthen our marriage and strengthen our finances, we do have to pick and choose a little bit there of where we're pouring in and how much.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're just doing the things that you want to do with your kids, with your family, with your husband, and building a business from there. Raising food for people, teaching people a bit, and really prioritizing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. This works for our family. This doesn't work for our family. And yeah, I love it. I think we're going to wrap it up there. I really have really appreciated your time tonight. It's been so good. You are so smart, brilliant. I respect you as a businesswoman, as a mother, as a entrepreneur. Like I love what you're doing. And I truly think that we need to see more of this farm to table stuff and you're the start of it and absolutely. So where can people find you?
Yeah. So on Instagram is where you'll find me mostly, just Brooke Vanderkley. We also have our farm Instagram, which is Van Valley Farm. You can find us there as well. I don't share as much there. You'll see more of our day in the life on my personal Instagram. You can find our website, which is Vanderkley Valley Farm. That's where we pre-sale my chickens. You will find all the links to stay at our farm if you want to come and stay here and see what we have going on. We would love, 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 love to host you.
I love it. I love it. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks so much for your time today. Thanks for being on the show. And yeah, looking forward to seeing more of your Instagram and your farm in your future because you've got a bright one.